That's the title of the song.
I've
had it on my WhatsApp bio for over 8 years actually, because of the song.
No, I look. So I'll tell you this. I used to listen to the song. But about 3 months or so ago, I just paid attention to the song. And you know, I used to play in a band.
Yeah.
So I listened to the song. I said, no.
The work done.
No. This be massive work. This be wicked work.
Wicked work.
This is work that will pass any musical test. I'm telling you, it's a great song. Very, very great song.
Seems to.
Hey. That's.
But I know you like AC.
Oh, top guy. That voice. He has such a unique voice.
Yeah, you see.
Last TGMA, he won. Was it Record of the Year? He won Record of the Year for Can I Live?
Yeah, Can I Live is a fantastic.
He won Record of the Year for that one. Very unique voice. So what a magical blend. It's a track. It's a track.
Come on.
Juma 2013. We are about the boom, Juma.
The best in the morning is on 92.7 Sunrise on 3FM.
Cemetery, my school fees, club higher thing. What I say, most of them will start to my account or so. Minagana need you. That's because I said the one we have presidency. Minagana need you. Gala for Monsorio. I'll be before you, I'm Monsorio. I'll be before you, I'm Monsorio. I am Munti, and I'm Mahama. Be vice president to that. Name I don't want to soda.
The best in the morning is on 92.7 Sunrise on 3FM.
And I want to make campaign in Mammy. I'm not make campaign in Mammy party. And I'm here, Juma. 2013.
The best in the morning is on 92.7 Sunrise on 3FM.
So, Chairman Wontumi is going to court today. In fact, two cases are actually expected to go to court with him.
That's right.
As a subject, as a person of interest. I just want.
Yesterday they were CID with 70 lawyers.
No, that was the former Attorney General Godfred with 70. One of the the Daily Guide said 100. One of the papers. So it actually was two of them.
That's right.
At the CID headquarters yesterday. Chairman Wontumi on the allegations of galamsey.
That's right.
And I think there's another matter which perhaps has not caught our attention.
And the former AG on Jakpe's matter. And the tampering of evidence, etc.
Yes, which the AG is strongly objecting to. And so let me just.
But Wontumi has been admitted to bail sum of 1 million Ghana cedis with two sureties. 1 million.
Yeah. So the first case, and this is the info I'm getting, the first case of Wontumi is he's expected to be arraigned on two separate cases.
Right.
The first one at 9 a.m., which is it was 16 minutes from now.
Yeah.
That hearing should start, and then the second one is a lot later in the afternoon as well. And
so he has to be in court the whole day, literally.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Exactly. That's the situation with Wontumi. And then we saw the former Attorney General as well at the CID yesterday. He was there with, some papers say 70, some say 100, but quite a number of lawyers.
But was that really necessary in terms of
support?
Because if you look at Mr. Godfred Dame's pedigree, and his weight,
he's no mean person.
He's been a leader of the bar before. Yeah. Look, the embattled former Chief Justice, he was the judge, his counsel.
Yeah.
So he's not a small boy in the legal fraternity. And if you look at the cases that he has taken to court, fought and won, he's not somebody who should have. And you say some law students.
A colleague of mine has said he had identified. He actually put that on X.
But why did he have to do that?
He actually put that. So it's not me saying, because I don't know the individual.
The issue.
A number of them.
This. So Godfred Dame has been admitted to self-recognizance bail. It means he has to provide himself when they need him. But Chairman Wontumi
a million
cedis. Now, Godfred Yeboah Dame's response to Jakpa's allegation of fabrication of evidence. 1, impropriety of the allegation, ingredients of the offense not made out in the charge, matters in issue already adjudicated and pronounced upon by the High Court in Accra. That's what he's saying, Godfred Dame. These are his defenses to the allegations that have made against him by Jakpa.
I think this is the last one.
And then it says full facts of the relationship in inverted commas between Richard Jakpa and me, Justice Yoni Kolendi, was the connect. Okay. Let's see how this goes. But I think that if somebody makes an allegation against you which you think is not in the right sense, you have an opportunity to and the right to clear your name. That's the first one. Number 2, if somebody has offended the state or somebody has looted from the state has the duty to also take from them what they have taken, and they are all innocent until proven guilty.
Absolutely. And
so
this
we
is
will wait.
A request or a petition by Jakpa for investigation into what he believed was tampering with legal processes in terms of how a case should have been handled. And so he's inviting the CID to investigate these claims, and the CID has subsequently invited the former Attorney General.
Let's not forget that Richard Jakpa also works with, I think he's a national security person.
But he did this in his private capacity. He didn't want to, because as at the time the developments occurred, he wasn't in this position.
But now he is.
Now he is.
So the facts have to be laid bare that then he was not, but now he is.
Yes.
He's also a retired military officer, a captain. And that's almost a senior officer, because a major up is what will be a senior officer. Now, if you look at this matter, for example, we all watched on television how a whole general was made to come to testify in court. A document was produced, which we later saw that it was not factual. And based upon that, Jakpa was acquitted and discharged. It's all about procuring ambulances for us, which Atuforcing and now our finance minister and acting defense minister, Dr. Atuforcing, was also in that matter. So this is a public interest conversation. One, because it hits the core of the judiciary. And two, because it hits the core of the military. And three, because it's then now puts the reputation of Godfred in the balance. So we are watching with keen eyes to see how this matter will be decided, because Jakpa could have gone to court to clear his name, or he could have petitioned another institution. Why he decided to petition the CID, which also is part of the national security in the strictest sense of the word, is something that we all must be asking questions about. That why?
You know, there was a question asked as to why perhaps this didn't go to the General Legal Counsel. Some have asked that question.
Right.
We know that there is a complaint actually that's been filed by an individual at the General Legal Counsel, which Godfred Dame is responding to. In fact, we saw his response to the petition over impropriety or misconduct in the audio recordings we had between himself and Jakpa. And he's, amongst many other things in that defense, said the General Legal Counsel should dismiss the petition, arguing on a number of lines that it's supposed to be an in-camera hearing and the person has revealed details of the petition against him before the General Legal Counsel. So there is that front happening, which is dealing with the body which is expected to regulate the conduct of lawyers, the General Legal Counsel. The explanation perhaps will be Mr. Jakpa is seeking to have, outside of the General Legal Counsel having to deal with conduct, he believes there's been an offense of some sort where there could be prosecutorial proceedings.
That's right. Because
taken up against Godfred Dame.
If the individual who took the matter to the General Legal Counsel succeeds, what it means is that Mr. Godfred Dame could be disbarred. His license could be taken from him.
Yeah.
So Jakpa could have gone to the General Legal Counsel. And my simple question I'm asking is, why is he using another security institution in this matter?
Oh, that would have been
it's a simple question.
Yeah, I know, but if had he asked the NIB, then there would have been questions raised as to him being judge and jury, possibly in an investigation where he sits at the top.
That's right. But then look, we know how our security systems work in this country, and
you believe they will still feed off?
I am not saying that. I'm just asking why, because I don't know. So I'm asking why. That's all. That's all. I'm not saying anything. I'm just asking.
You just ask the question.
Why? That's all. Because I don't know. So I want to know. So I'm asking why.
Right.
If they have the answers, they can drop the answers. We'll be fine.
Right. But that's the bit on him and the explanations which has been coming to. I get the indication our colleague Lord is in the court. He'll join us shortly as well because of the Wontumi case. But this particular matter, and this morning when we're having the conversation, Sixus drew in certain quotes from Martin Pebu as to the fact that the longer that case went on, the judiciary of the country was in the frying pan, literally.
Yeah.
And you brought in the military as well.
That's right.
And at some point, it looked like all had come to an end. But with this latest petition and the subsequent petition by Daniel Oforiatta bringing in a justice of the Supreme Court, then now there are those who are asking questions and saying that persons have to go.
In the military, generals are revered, right? They are revered like gods. So to drag a whole general to the court to come and present a document that we later found out to be fake or not real or cannot be substantiated, it's a big conversation, because if you're a general, you are considered gallant. You are considered, as I said, like a god. And so people hold you in high esteem. How you come to court to come and present a document that you know, because there's a legal department in the military, right? They have their own set of lawyers.
Absolutely.
So could the lawyers not have verified this document? They have an information department. Could they not have verified this document to, say that it is wrong or it is correct or it's right or whatever it is? Then you come to the court, stand in the box on national television, and peddle falsehood, literally. That's what it means. Because if you have a fake document and you are presenting it in court on live television as a full general, there's a problem somewhere. There's a problem. And it hits the core of our military. I'll repeat that because it's okay. Let me not say it.
Let's go to the courtroom right now. Lord Edwasare is stationed there for us. Lord, good morning.
Good morning, Marina.
Trust that all is well with you.
Indeed.
Talk to us. How has Wontumi, his lawyers, the AG's office, anybody appeared in courts as at yet? Because we understand the first of the charges being filed against him. Not the charges, but the court processes. One of that is starting this morning.
Indeed, Marina. So very few minutes ago, Chairman Wontumi, the MPP Ashanti Regional Chair, in the company of his lawyer and the Apia Kubi, came to the court. You know, the legal vacation is over, so court premises have resumed, especially the higher courts, and so all cases are now going to be heard in person. And so Chairman Wontumi, and then in the company of his lawyers, they came through, spoke to them briefly. They indicated that they are not aware of the court that is hearing the case, and so they are going to be waiting to see what the prosecution will communicate to them. But as it stands now, the prosecution, the Attorney General's office, no one is here at the moment. What we see, though, is there are several CID operatives stationed across the court divides, the various corners. So the place is heavily guarded, heavy security presence to make sure that all things security is well placed. And so we are here waiting to see when the prosecution, led by the AG's office, would come, and then, of course, we'll get to know which court will be hearing Chairman Wontumi's case. Because yesterday, I did speak to the CID board COP leader, Donko. She indicated that the charges, the illegal mining charges, which have been proffered against Chairman Wontumi, they are going to file them or move them in court today. And so that's why we are here. We are waiting to see how things will pan out. But we see lots of vehicles, police vehicles, I should say, coming in and out. Some are stationed outside with the CID operatives in their vests, a few of them armed, watching the proceedings from outside the premises here, observing everything that's happening right now.
Right, Lord, is it a case that there are two separate cases against him? Because you mentioned in your interaction with the CID boss yesterday, she said the charges on illegal mining will be filed in court today. But we know outside of this morning as well, we're expecting charges to be filed again a lot later in a separate court in the afternoon.
It appears so, because if it was in the afternoon, the counsel wouldn't become this early. But I mean, all would get to know more details of that in court today when the prosecution lays everything bare. But from our indication, what we do know is that the illegal mining charges are going to be proffered against him. If there are any other developments, we'll get to know in court when the court is in session.
Right, and talk to us about the presence of the security which you've described. Is it the case that as is fast becoming a norm, party supporters want to throng security installations where their leadership is? Is that what we're seeing, reason for which we're having that heightened security presence at the court complex?
Indeed, Marina. This has been a prevalent thing that has been happening whenever there's a case like that. Right now, just let me call you here. There's a member of the legal team of Wontumi coming through right now. Okay. So, yes, basically, because of the situation with the party supporters who thronged the place, it's difficult to control them. You saw the situation even at the CID headquarters yesterday when there was a near, for want of a better word, chaos, but they managed to put everything under control with some of the supporters. And so to prevent that, there's several police CID operatives stationed here at different entry points of the courtroom. That the courtroom has about 3 or 4 entry points. They are stationed there. I can count about 6 vehicles here, and then the police personnel are quite a number engaging among themselves and then observing the situation that's happening.
You had wanted to get a word or two from lawyers of Chairman Wontumi. What is his mood like, even as he awaits which court he's expected to be at and all of that?
He seemed calm. The rush to look more like in a hurry than wanted to talk. He just said that they're expecting to see how things will pan out today, what the charges mainly are, because all we know is that they are illegal mining related. Don't know exactly. So
good morning.
We haven't even seen the charge sheets or the docket. So all come to bear in court. Yeah, so he was just wanted to get to the courtroom to see how things are happening. Again, he himself, he doesn't know where this is going to be heard, and so there's a feeling that he's going to meet with
what's the feeling like today?
Counsel and the Apia Kubi, and then they will have a further engagement
any
how
words
things are going to play out today here at the Accra High Court.
All right, then, Lord, continue to keep tabs on this for us. I'm sure we'll come back to you again shortly for a bit more in terms of the details. That's my colleague, Lord Eduasare, who's at the High Court complex for us this morning, where Chairman Wontumi is making an appearance. 2 charges, the charge of illegal mining that we're very much aware of, expected to be filed, but we know that there will be another process filed a lot later in the afternoon as well, even as we await the arrival of the AG's office for the processes to start, and then the specific court as well, as Lord has been telling us. It's heightened police presence at the law court complex, where this hearing is expected to take place at as well. And Lord, we've been showing you videos of Chairman Wontumi and then his counsel as well. He looks all smiles ahead of the proceedings today, in the company of some members of the NPP as well as his counsel, which we'll see shortly in the video. And for those of you on Facebook, you get to see the video which we're sharing with you right now on Facebook, our live stream right now. But we'll also as well get onto the phone lines again. Christian Malmhesse is a private legal practitioner. He's as well joining us this morning for this one over the case involving both the JAPA petition and then what we're seeing play out as well with Chairman Wontumi. Counsel, I appreciate you joining us this morning. I trust that all is well.
Good morning to you and your listeners. I'm blessed.
Fantastic. Perhaps we'll start off with Chairman Wontumi and the processes with him. Yesterday, he made that all-important appearance at the police CID, and today he's expected. He's already at the High Court as well, awaiting the arrival of the AG's office. The charge, as we know, is that of the illegal mining, but we are getting indication that after this one is successfully filed, there's the expectation as well that there will be another one filed a lot later in the afternoon. What would you say is your general thought on his appearance yesterday and the speed with which He's expected in court today as well. We know there's been a lot of demand for prosecution over matters relating to Galamsey, but what are your thoughts generally?
I mean, I believe in the rule of law. I believe that the legal system must at all times work irrespective of the name involved, and for that matter, it strengthens the legal system. The fight against Galamsey has no coloration, whether to the left or to the right, in terms of affiliations. And for that matter, if Chairman Wontumi is alleged to be involved in it, prosecution should happen, and definitely he's closed with lawyers to defend him. And at the end of the day, a decision would be reached based on the evidence adduced as to whether he is culpable or not. And it will be a win-win for the country.
He was slapped with a 1 million cedis bail over the Galamsey-related case. I mean, we've had to have conversations about bail sums over the last few weeks, some of which some persons have described as a bit harsh, high-handed, expected to keep persons in custody for a long time. He appears to have met these conditions yesterday, but I just want to pick your thoughts on that sum which was slapped on him yesterday, vis-a-vis the conversations about bail being used sometimes as a means to keep persons behind bars.
All right. Again, with the bill, it has always been my position that it is time for Parliament to put out a legislation that deals with bail. Indeed, we all applaud Martin Tebu for his exploits at the Supreme Court, which has rendered, all matters bailable, and merely with the discretion of the court, to take decisions in respect of court bail. Again, when it comes to the police stage, whether it has to do with police inquiry or self-recognizance, indeed, the amount required vis-a-vis the sureties and whether justification, the discretion is left to the police, which I believe that judicial decision must be vested in the court. So that I have a problem when a police institution would want to give, or even if it's not a police institution, it is an investigative institution, would want to slap a 1 million Ghana cedis. Yes, the position of the law is that the bail amount should run pari passu with the amount involved, the amount of the criminal enterprise. But in coming up or in exercising that discretion, I always believe that there should be a legislation which should the police even exercise that, they should exercise that in the ambience of the law, and not just a commander or a crime officer who is seated in his armchair and decides that, okay, you come with justification, you give 1 million. When it happens like that, there is no uniformity in the dispensation of justice. And when that area of uncertainty exists, we say that the law lacks the secondary rule, and in that there is an uncertainty. We cannot continue, because we have seen Yoko exercise that in a monotonous fashion, and it became a problem. That why would they keep going if you believe that that judicial discretion is beyond you? Even though you could grant such bills, when it's it is of a certain threshold, and that is the catch point because that threshold is also unknown. That threshold is unknown. So they will say nothing prevents them from exercising that threshold. And one would say, yes, to what extent would Yoko or the police take a matter to court too? If the person is unable to meet the justifications thereof or the bail amount, then it would be either for their lawyers to negotiate it out with them, or they would have to go to court for the court to determine. And it must not be so. The law says that there should be certainty in the law, and that is what we should follow. I believe, having had these things happen a lot of times in our criminal dispensation, it is time for Parliament to legislate for us to have a bill act that would envelope all the judicial pronouncements in that particular area, including table number 1 and number 2, so that we would have a clarity, certainty in that area moving forward.
Right. And just finally on the Wontumi case, because we know that they're expecting to file 3 mining charges against him in court today. We don't know what specifically those charges will be, and so we will wait for it all to play out. But there was just one bit of the interaction by his lead counsel, Andy Apiakubi, yesterday on the commentary of the Attorney General when civil society met the president last week, and saying that there was a miscommunication over when he should have appeared and all of that, almost seeking to suggest that there could be a certain posture which could be taken by the state against his counsel, which could possibly lead to certain perception of fairness amongst all of that. What would you expect to be the approach of the Attorney General in this particular case, devoid of the fact that a lot of people are interested in it? A lot of people have been clamoring for some prosecution following reports that this one individual had been engaged in activities allegedly of illegal mining.
Yes, I mean, the posture of Attorney General is one would see is normal, because if you have a prosecutorial body, a prosecutorial body it doesn't smile, and it will do everything to incriminate you. It will do everything to find you culpable of the charges that it has preferred against that particular person, and in these circumstances, it's Wontumi. So, whatever shenanigans it can employ, whatever strategy it could employ, it will do that. What's going to happen today is that they are going to take his plea to whether guilty, not guilty, guilty with explanation and all of that. He's going to go through the plea taking, and then after the plea taking, bail has been granted him already. And so they will take a date to file or to serve him with disclosures. And then when they come back again, there will be a cross-examination by Wontumi's lawyer, Honorable, will cross-examine Wontumi, the prosecutorial witnesses. So when they go through all of that and they have the opinion that there is no case against Chairman Wontumi, then they will file what we call submission of no case. Now, it will be opposed by the other side, and with arguments and all of that, the court would have to make a ruling. But if in a situation at the end of the court examination, indeed there is a case to answer, the lawyer in his mind might decide not to file that at all. In a situation where that is not filed, then they would be given an opportunity to also open their case, and disclosures would also be served on the other side, and the same thing would happen, and at the end of the day, decision would be reached on whether or not the offense as prescribed on the charge sheet has been satisfied. Because in law we deal with the elements, so whether prosecution was able to prove the elements attributable to Mr. Wontumi. If not, then they have failed in discharging the burden bestowed on them. So we see what would go. Or if they are successful to, then Chama Wontumi will be convicted and then sentenced.
Right.
So it should not just end with this prosecution. We should see a lot more big weights held, because indeed the young men that ply that trade, they don't have the money to go into lease finance arrangements with banks and other financial institutions to buy heavy moving equipment. But it is the well-to-do that are able to do that, and we need to save the environment, and a secured environment is a good health pillar for a country.
Right. I want us to switch now and delve into the matters involving the former Attorney General. He yesterday made his appearance before the Criminal Investigations Department, the headquarters to be specific, to answer to the petition as taken there by Richard Jakpa. I know we spoke to you on this somewhere last week about whether or not there was a case for him to answer. But we've heard him respond to these and stating that, look, these matters as contained in this petition by Richard Jakpa have been heard by the High Court. They've been dealt with. Hence, there is no basis for him to be petitioning the CID to be investigating these matters again. Where do you stand when Dami responds to this petition with these arguments?
All right. I mean, I believe to an extent these matters have been dealt with, because during the admissibility side of the trial, the judge, I believe the judge is the judge that sat on it is Ifya Sewa.
If yes,
so yeah, I think so. But for whoever the quorum was, I mean, it was decided upon to an extent. However, if the police believe that there are criminal elements involved, it is up to the police to take it on. But largely, this is a matter that happened in the course of a case that was before the court. The judge had the opportunity to look into it as to whether the evidence is tenable or not. And yes, but if the police is of the opinion that there are criminal elements which means prosecution, would all want to see how the argument will pan out in court. But this is my preliminary statement on this legal matter.
To avoid getting into the meat of the matter and all of that, there are those who ask questions, and I will ask those questions from a layman's perspective, having listened into the alleged audio amongst many other things, and we will get into the linkages which is being drawn and all of that as to whether or not Dami even himself making the argument that, look, all of this started if there wasn't the presence of a justice of a Supreme Court and linking the both of us to have a conversation. We'll get into that. But for a lame person who listens to that audio, may have listened to that audio and heard an Attorney General in the manner in which he heard them, they'll ask themselves the question, can that happen? Should that happen? And what are the sanctions, if any, for a conversation like that taking place? These are some of the questions which persons who may not be well versed in matters of law to file a defense and the likes will continue to ask themselves that, is it acceptable for such a thing to have happened, and whether or not the Criminal Investigations Department can bring finality to questions like that on their mind?
I mean, typically for me, in my legal mind, the first thing that comes to my mind is whether or not the Attorney General acted ethically. You get it? Whether or not the Attorney General as he then was, acted ethically? If, depending on the answer that one gives, so if indeed he did not act ethically, then all lawyers know where such matters are taken. I don't want to mention that. So then it will ply on that road. As to whether such unethical practice, so I've not said what he did was ethical, but I'm saying in the hypothesis that I put forward, that the first question that comes to mind is whether or not that singular act was ethical or not. If indeed he was not ethical in his actions or inactions, then there's a certain path to take, a certain procedure and a certain forum to go. Now, if that has not been done, another question is, can such an action or inaction constitute a criminal matter? Now, that action and inaction, was it presented before the trial court vis-a-vis that particular evidence? Did the court deal with it? So these are all pockets of whether or not which affect his matter. But the hurdle for the police would be to cross all the T's in this and arrive at a decision. Definitely, it is Attorney General who advised them on the way forward on this matter. Once someone has petitioned the CID department, it is for them to invite the person, which is by way of arrest, and then they would also procure statements from the person, so they'll caution and procure statements from it. I mean, they'll walk the person through the normal procedures, grand bill, and all of that. And indeed, giving advice from Attorney General, they might want to proceed to court and see what would happen. And similarly, just as I ran the procedures, it is from the posturing of the former Attorney General. It is most likely they would put in submission of no case, that there is no case for them to answer, given the fact that this matter has been dealt with at the court already during the time of trial, whether it was admissible or not, and the then judge had the opportunity to make pronouncements on it. So, indeed, this is how it's going to pan out in court. The closest shield with the former Attorney General would have been to look at the ethical matters and go into that forum to deal with it. However, let's see how all of these interesting things pan out. It is more political than legal.
More political than legal. Counsel, I appreciate you speaking to us, and we know as well that the ethical concerns you raised, there is indeed a case like that currently before the General Legal Council involving the former Attorney General, and as and when the details can be discussed, I'm sure we'll have a conversation on it a lot later. But I appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me, sir.
As Christian Malm-Hesse is a private legal practitioner joining us this morning on two vexed matters, actually. Wontumi in court. We got the updates from Lord Edwasari and then the petitions from Richard Jakpa, which caused the former Attorney General to make an appearance at the CID yesterday. We're going for a quick break. When we return, other matters up on our plate for a conversation.
My first years in university were very difficult for me. I struggled
2.7, and it's a winning season again. And this time we're not just chasing wins, we're collecting them. The luckiest is back again, bigger and better, with chances to change your life. Let me show you 2 easy ways to get in the game.
To see a sunset or see a sunrise and see my sunburn with these same eyes.
First, grab your phone, simply dial *712#. That's *712#. Choose option 1 to buy a ticket for yourself, or option 2 to buy for someone else. Now, do you want the system to generate a lucky ticket for you? You go with option 1 again. Prefer to choose your own lucky number? That's option 2. Confirm your payment with Momo and you are in. Now for the online way. Simply head over to theluckiestafrica.com and register. Tap on community tickets to either pick your own lucky number or let the system choose one for you. You can also purchase a ticket for someone else. When it's time to pay, use Momo if you are in Ghana, or pay with your card if you are abroad. One ticket can multiply your money by 500 times, and your whole community could win 10 times over. This is your golden chance. Hop on and let's get lucky together, because luck is everywhere.
Let's celebrate life, kick back and take 5.
3FM 92.7, Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
Sunburn with these same eyes to see my sun smile bright in every gray sky.
Right about now, but this is still 3FM Sunrise or 3FM 92.7. Let's talk about the mind right about now. I've got 2 guests in the studio. Let me say good morning and a very warm welcome to Seth Mausi Asafo, lecturer at the University of Ghana Medical School. He is a clinical psychologist, co-convener of the Wholesome Mind Summit, which we're going to be hearing about in due course. I've also got in the studio Eric Ofori, Kwa Esquire. This one I think I need a lesson on. Vint and Alethea.
Correct.
Oh, fantastic. Vint and Alethea, attorneys and consultants. He's also the project lead of the Wholesome Mind Summit. Gentlemen, hello, good morning. How are we?
Hello, good morning. We're doing awesome.
Hey, awesome. That means that the mentals are in check. Everything is okay. Everything is balanced. Is that right?
130%.
130%. This is music to my ears. Hopefully, after this conversation, we'll also be finding out how we can move from, who knows, maybe somebody's at 30%, how we move to 130, somebody might be at 50%. Some of us are at a strong 85% this morning, which is not bad.
At all.
At all. It's because I've had breakfast. Prior to that, I was at a strong 45, so the breakfast bumped it up quite a bit. But it's good to have you, good to see you. We're talking about the mind, and of course we'll talk about the Wholesome Mind Summit as well. But Seth, if I can start off with you, you're a clinical psychologist. What exactly do you do?
Well, psychology is basically study human behavior. So I work with people who have mental health related challenges, working on the way their thoughts affect their emotions and how their emotions affect their actions. So for example, your thought can make you a fearful person, and then you might have what you call an anxiety disorder.
Okay.
You might have dysfunctional thinking patterns that put you in a place where you're not functioning at your utmost, potential. And my job is to help you notice these patterns and modify it. So clinical psychologists would work without medication, and we take a more preventive approach to mental health also.
Okay, a more preventive approach. So for those who get to you too late, do you then refer them on where medication might be a more suitable remedy?
Absolutely. So, we work as a multidisciplinary team. So psychologists, psychiatrists, those two fields. So psychiatrists would typically prescribe medication for people who have more severe, more significant mental health challenges.
Right.
But the use of both therapy and medication seems to give the best outcomes.
Okay, and you can't do one without the other. They go hand in hand.
Actually, you can.
Okay.
But the gold standard would be to do both. Exactly.
All right. Eric, Anka Esquire. Anka mental health. Good morning again, Eric. What is your interest in this whole situation concerning the mind? I know your line of profession is quite a tasking one. I suppose it takes a toll on one's mental health. Is that why you are a part of this project, or are you a psychiatrist or psychologist in training? Talk to us.
That's a very good question. So, wholesome mind. It all started when law decided to meet medicine.
Okay.
So we had a client. So to give you a background story, we had a client who was suffering from mental illness, and our fundamental rights are enshrined in the Constitution. So if you have a relative who has mental disorder, you cannot just carry that mental health person to a hospital. It's two options for the person. Either the person voluntarily go to the hospital for checkup, or you apply to the court for involuntary action. So we did this. We filed an application in court for an involuntary treatment order, which was granted. But before the court will grant that, first of all, a psychologist needs to confirm that indeed the person has a mental disorder. Secondly, there has to be a certificate of emergency to confirm that. So this was done. It was duly granted. We went to the hospital. In 2 weeks at Kolibu, we realized that, this is something that the law firm needs to take up. So it became our CSR. So we decided to do mental health as part of our CSR of the law firm. So the law firm is Ventana attorneys and consultants. Okay. So that is how come we collaborated with Dr. Seth and his team to be able to come up with this Wholesome Mind Summit.
That's exciting. And you would hope that more businesses would do that, take a keener interest in the mental health of their staff, because really at the core of our being is the mind, isn't it? If the mind isn't in a correct place, I mean, what else can be done right? Now, Seth, I don't know if these stats are still accurate, if they're up to date. So we know that the World Health Organization requires that countries allocate something like 15% of their health resources to mental health. I don't know what our percentage is. At the last check, we were maybe oscillating between 1%, maybe 2%. Please tell us that in the year 2025, we have made some better strides in allocating more resources to the mental health of fellow Ghanaians.
I would say that we're trying.
Okay.
Where we used to be, we're no longer there. We've definitely moved further along, but we're still grossly underfunded. We're still inadequately, resourced to deal with all of this, and that's why we believe in this partnership of the private sector and the government to ensure that we can do this work to the best of our abilities. So, back to the Wholesome Mind Summit this year, the Mental Health Authority, which is governmental, is partnering with the World Health Organization and Ventana to bring the Wholesome Mind Summit on World Mental Health Day, which is 10th of October.
That's just this Friday.
Exactly.
Okay.
And what are we doing? We're trying to destigmatize mental field, bring that information to the fore, and we're doing something very, very significant. We're attempting to renovate the special ward of the Accra Psychiatric Hospital.
That's very exciting.
Exactly. Now, a few years ago, Kolibu got a facelift on its psychiatry department, which is called the Melody. I think it's the most beautiful psychiatric facility in the country now. And one thing I noticed and I used to say was it was therapy through architecture. Just the building itself was therapeutic in nature. And so to be able to transition this into the largest and oldest psychiatric hospital in Ghana was also an innovational thing, which would definitely help to improve the quality of life of patients as well as all the health professionals that work there. So that's such an amazing partnership. And I believe, so as you were asking, is it an investment people should do? In fact, it's more than an investment. The statistics from research shows that for each dollar or CD you put in mental health, you get 4 back. So just
four times that back.
Exactly.
It's a worthwhile investment.
Yes, it doesn't seem as tangible, but you think about one person in your institution who's not well. You'll have healthcare costs, delays, etc., which impacts the end product or whatever it is. But if people are in tip-top shape when it comes there, you might not see it as tangible, but indirectly, that's the benefit you're getting. Now, this same person, okay, in the community, so beyond their work is their parent or their family member, they're able to influence other people as well. Even on the road, sometimes you know how we struggle with all our people driving erratically, but when people are in their best zones, everything works fine. So
this explains a lot. This explains a lot what is going on our roads at the moment, because you think there's clearly something on your mind. You can't be this irate simply because of some small fracas on the road and somebody can insult your whole lineage.
See, the interesting thing about mental health is most of the time in the modern world, our mental health seems to be directly related to what's in your mind space. Okay. Now, I've always given this analogy and it's getting old, but it's the best analogy. We all watch movies.
That's right.
You watch a horror movie, you feel fear even though you know it's a movie. In other words, it's incongruent to know it's a movie and still feel fear, but you feel fear. Or that you watch a movie and then you're crying at the end of the movie because your favorite actor died. Even though you know it's not factual, you still respond. Same thing happens with our thoughts. So when I'm thinking about something, regardless of how I'm thinking about it, whether it's right or wrong, the body reacts. And its reaction is usually what pushes people into having stress overloads that preempts mental health related issues.
A lot to look forward to at this summit. Eric, can you corroborate this? Do you see that improvement in staff productivity once this mental health sort of angle entered the scenario? What has been the practical benefit of it?
So there's this saying that employee satisfaction brings out productivity. Now, if your employees have the right state of mind, work-life balance, you should be rest assured that you're going to make a lot of impact. You're going to make productivity is going to go up. Last year, fortunately, the topic we treated was, Dr. said, what was it again?
It was wellness, like within corporate wellness. Yeah.
Yes. This was last year's summit theme.
Yes.
Okay.
And we had about 15 corporate institutions joining. And after, the testimonials that we got was very impressive. This year, they are still coming because they saw the benefits that their staff that partook in it experience. So yes, mental health is a very key thing that we all have to speak to. It's something that employees need to also help their employers to be able to bring up policies that will inherently assist the employees. Because at the end of the day, if there's a mental health policy that, let's say touch wood, today you're not feeling well. Because you're not feeling well, they say, go home. But it could be something that is probably triggering that very issue that you're going through.
Right.
Who knows? When you speak to a psychologist, the best out of you will be brought out.
Right.
We all need to speak about it because at the end of the day, our mental health is the drive or the fuel that takes us in and out of our daily activity. So it's key. So yes, we are entreating all employees to put in place policies that can be able to help us as employees. Our employers should prioritize our mental health and make sure that it is in sync with the productivity that they are seeking for.
And you say this year, those that were in attendance last year have decided we benefited so much from it, we're coming back again. We'll talk about the format of the Wholesome Mind Summit and what to expect in due course. But Seth, do you find that more Ghanaians now are open to the conversation about mental health than maybe say a decade ago, maybe 15 years ago? And what do you think is influencing that shift in culture? Even the reportage you see on the front pages of newspapers, and that used to bother me so much. You see, so and so runs mad. A lack of compassion in the way we report mental health challenges. That even seems to be shifting. What has made that change?
So I start with, I think there's been a lot of advocacy on mental health. I would like to commend the Mental Health Authority. I'd like to commend private partnerships in mental health. I'd like to commend professionals, and I'd like to commend Ghanaians in themselves, because people are allowing themselves to speak more about mental health. Now, it's an evidence-based thing. If you know about it and you start to work towards it, you actually get more. Most of the time, this is the mistake. People seem to prioritize more of their physical health than their mental health. And I always create this analogy for people to understand that there are days that you wake up and you're not feeling 100% in strength, but you're not sick. That's mental health. Except people used to see mental health as mental illness. And so the stigma that used to permeate that, narrative was because they made a mistake of looking at mental health as mental illness. Mental health is also just like a continuum. There are days that you're high on your mental health and days that you're not. But largely, there's been a force, gearing towards uplifting mental health, because I think we're destigmatizing the field very much. There's a lot of noise going around, and there's evidence-based that when you actually are engaging in these interventions, you actually feel the best of yourself. So those would be, I think, everybody's part of the process of why it's gaining so much ground.
Certainly. All right, let's talk about the Wholesome Mind Summit. This is which edition?
This is the second edition.
Okay.
We hope that we can do so many more editions to come.
All right.
And the part about this year is that we're making sure that we are capturing an age bracket from children to old adults. So we're looking at psychological safety among children and adults. Now, with our partnership with the World Health Organization and the Mental Health Authority, we'll have a key focus on emergencies and catastrophes. Now, if you think about psychological safety, it's a concept that says, I don't feel like someone's plotting out there for me. I can make a mistake and own it. I don't think I get credit for what I do. And we notice that all of these things will basically reduce stress. Now, mind you, stress is the basis for many mental health related challenges. So I'll give you a practical example. We all probably know somebody in our neighborhood who was doing really well until they lost a loved one, they lost their job, and then suddenly they say they went out of whack.
Yes.
But the reality is that stress is a necessary trigger to push your coping resources beyond your threshold, and then there's nothing else left for you. So this year, we're looking at a number of age brackets. We're building confidence in children. There's a workbook that's been launched that we've developed by Dr. Christine Pierre and then another very important colleague. And that book will be launched there.
Okay.
We also have in the youth, we'll be talking about self-esteem. So, I talked about proactiveness. We are starting early.
Catch them young.
In the modern time, we're finding that lots of our children are struggling simply because they don't have confidence.
Okay.
And also, I always tell people that many of us as parents now are not allowing our children to feel the world. So they are not resilient.
We're over-sheltering them?
Yes, exactly. We're overprotecting them.
Because the world is wicked.
Yes, the world is wicked, but it's not as wicked in your kitchen as it is outside.
Okay.
So if don't do the chores, don't do the dishes, all of those things aren't allowing kids to learn practical problem-solving skills for life.
Right.
So when they face challenges like this, what happens? Oh my God. Like a kid comes to me and says his air conditioning doesn't work, so he doesn't want to live.
And that's the biggest stressor in his life.
Absolutely.
My goodness.
So you can imagine that this child basically has never had to encounter significant challenges like this. Now, we want to build self-worth within the children to believe that they're capable. We're building confidence in children to explore their boundaries. And then we're transitioning that into adults to say that it's okay to speak, it's okay to feel safe, it's okay to have an opinion and not feel that somebody, will take that away from you or punish you in one way or the other. And then finally, we're looking at transition into retirement. Because once people get into retirement, there's a struggle, there's a change that they are going through, which many people are never prepared for. And that can also be psychologically stressful. Now, think about change like this. Even positive change stresses the mind. How much more negative
change, right? Yes. And so you'll have, I take it, a number of speakers that will be in attendance as well. So this is open, you say, from very young ages all the way through to younger and older individuals.
Absolutely.
And it's a full day of activities, conversations. Eric, what can we look forward to?
So the program starts at 9 a.m. and it ends at 3.
Okay.
So we're going to have 3 panel discussion, then 3 keynote addresses. there will be other activities. So there will be a mindfulness activity, there will be a spoken word. Then also, we're going to have a kids' corner. Okay. So the kids that will be coming, we want to create a safe haven for them. So there's going to be various activities. So you're going to have beading, they're going to have the workbook to work on, they're going to be talked about emotional issues, self-confidence, and the rest. So we just, like, the whole plan is not to clamp everybody in one room. So we have the adults in a separate section, having our activities, and the kids also in another section. Now the kids, we decided to bring kids from international school and the less privileged school. We believe that once you merge these kids together, there's a higher tendency of them adapting the good traits among each other.
Okay.
Also, just to help uplift the kids in the, what's the name? The less privileged schools to be able to build their confidence. So that is the main aim, and those will be the activities, God willing, on Friday between 9 to 3.
And for those who are listening this morning, whose appetites you have now fully whet, how do they get involved? How can they get a ticket? How do they join? Is there a chance for people to join online, or does it have to be physical only?
Thankfully, the feedback from last year says that you people didn't stream. So this year, that's what we're doing, because we had we opened up for 200 people. We had way beyond that. This year also, we opened up for registration.
Wait, over 200 people?
Last year we had 250.
Okay, so the interest certainly is there. People definitely want to attend this type of summit.
If it were a movie, I would say sold out.
Sold out. I see.
And even though we're talking about it now, we're sold out. So we don't even have the opportunity to take on new people who are interested in person at the Labadi Beach Hotel on Friday.
Oh, I see.
However, we will be streaming online. So if you just Google Vint and Alethea, the Wholesome Mind Summit, it's on all the social media handles. So you'll get all the information. And you also get a welcome pack like everybody else who come to the conference. So
lovely.
It has bios of all the speakers, all the activities, like everything we're intending to do. And beyond the summit is the project, which is the renovation. And that's something that beyond the tent, we're still raising funds to make sure that we're able to do this. We're only raising 4 million Ghana cedis, which if you break down, it's like saying if every person would give us 10 cedis, we only need 400,000 people. Just a small, tiny part of that. Small, you understand? No fuel. And so we'll be taking your donation right after this.
You have no problems at all. It's certainly something that I'm passionate about. So I look forward to also following on with the conversation come October 10th. That's just this Friday, and it's very exciting to see that on that day there's so much activity happening, all in a bid to improving our mental health. So we wish you well. Are there sponsors on there that you'd like to acknowledge? Anybody else you'd like to acknowledge that's part of the Wholesome Mind Summit?
Okay. Well, there are so many of them, but for the project, because it's more extending, is that we have Cal Bank as the bank that's holding the funds. We have Express Pay as a donor platform way. We have KPMG as our accountability partners, and the reason is we want to ensure that whatever money is received is used exactly for what it's for.
Absolutely.
So this is going to a private trustee. Nobody's getting access. We have keen developers. We have art properties as well as the architects and also the contractors who would take this project on and make sure that we see it to fruition. Now we've got some collaborations from the US from Our Joy who are also doing amazing donations to us, and there are dozens of other institutions. I can't mention them all.
Certainly.
But everybody you get a welcome pack, you see all our partners, our corporate sponsors, and you know that we all have the same goal to ensure that mental health is where it should really be.
Absolutely. Eric?
Okay. So we're also going to create a donor wall. So anyone that donates, you have your name on the wall after the renovation. Okay. And if you permit me, we're just asking Ghanaians, we want 400,000 people to just give us 10 cedi.
Pay.
Men can't pay, but maybe 10 cedi.
Oh, 10 cedis. It's doable. We can do this.
So once I can share the mobile money number, please, once you send it, kindly reference it with your name, because that very name that will be on the donor wall.
Okay.
So permit me. So the mobile money number to help with the donation is 0530 464 306. 0530 464 306. And the reference name is Vint and Alethea.
Vint and Alethea.
Right. Once you send it, please kindly reference it with your name, because that very name will be on the donor wall once we're done with the renovation.
Ellen, we have a donation flyer. Would it be okay to share that with you so that you can share?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We'll do that. And of course, this conversation will be on YouTube, so you can also go back and listen to it ahead of Friday's activities. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this morning. We look forward to the activities on Friday, the Wholesome Mind Summit. Some of us will now have to follow along online, but that's all right. No wahala at all. We'll follow online.
We make exceptions.
I knew you could sneak me in the back door somewhere. I'll make myself available. But actually, Seth, right before you go, final words to fellow Ghanaians this morning. You know, many people are grappling with mental health issues. Maybe somebody's listening to us on their way to work, feeling a bit disheartened, and there's work stress pending. A message for us on this glorious Tuesday morning.
Awesome. I'm going to share a message one of my mentors taught me practically. So one day he called me and he said, Seth, do you have problems? I said, yes. He said, can you do something about it? I said, yes. He said, so why worry? I want to change my answer. He said, go ahead. Do you have problems? I said, yes. Can you do something about it? I said, no. He said, why worry? In retrospect, now that I think about it, what you can control is your biggest asset. Most of the time, our mental health takes a decline because we're attempting to control what we cannot control. The present is all you have. When you start thinking about the future and what could happen, it's no guarantee that it will happen. So stay present, focus on what you can do today. It's a way of grounding yourself from mental health. The other very important thing with mental health is make sure that you're getting adequate sleep. Sleep is powerful for the brain. It helps to relax, it helps to reset and to recharge the mind. So when we tell people to have at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep, it's not an ad hoc number. It's because the brain goes through a certain cycle, which is 90 minutes per cycle. And during that, the body starts to restore. You need about 5 of those. That brings it to about 7.5 hours. And keep physically active. Exercise is good. When you're walking, you're jogging, you're physically active with your hands, your brain does not start thinking about its problems.
That's right.
Because you're doing something tangible. And so keep your mind occupied by doing something with your senses. Thank you.
Thank you so much again, gentlemen, for your time this morning. And we've been speaking with Seth Mausi, Asafo lecturer at the University of Ghana Medical School, clinical psychologist and co-convener of the Wholesome Mind Summit. I've also had in the studio Eric Ofori Kwa Esquire, Vint and Alethea, attorneys and consultants, project lead at the Wholesome Mind Summit. Gentlemen, thank you again.
3FM 92.7 Urban Lifestyle.